What's up, guys? Welcome to the Mike Kadowski YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, about what I do, about what you guys are going to be seeing, and it's going to be more of an intro to my channel, so to speak. I am a car guy through and through. I'm a drag racer primarily. I am an engine machinist at Atlanta Speed Shop, and I also work part-time for a Trans Am Pro Series race team. After I graduated college, I moved to North Georgia. I live about an hour north of Atlanta, and yeah, I work at the speed shop. So it's pretty cool. I'm a drag racer, like I said previously. I drive an '89 Chevy 1500. I've had it since I was 15, and everything that I have learned about racing, I've pretty much learned from this truck and my education at UNOH. Basically, a lot of trial and error, a lot of wasted money, a lot of nights in the garage, late nights in the garage that I wish I could have documented for you guys. But I'm starting here. I'm in between builds right now. The truck used to have a 355 cubic inch small block Chevy, just a 30 over small block. It was basic, forged internals, hydraulic flat tappet cam. It had cast iron heads on it. I then switched them to aluminum, and it had a quick fuel 850 on it. It probably made 350 horsepower without nitrous. I also run nitrous. I've only run 100 shot just because I haven't been confident with my engine combination to run more than that. Plus, I daily drove it and yada yada yada. I was afraid to blow my shit up. So here we are. I moved to Georgia in September of 2017. Well, I lied. I moved to Georgia in late June of 2017. I moved into my house in September of 2017. My truck didn't run very much then. I ran it once in the summertime. Very mediocre running. Like, I didn't have a slick. It had mismatched gear for the cam. I mean, like I said, I'm learning on this thing. Yeah, I'm learning. So, it was on a street tire. 373 rear gear. I have run a Muncie 4-speed out of like a 68 Chevelle. It's an M22 wide ratio gearbox. And yeah, I mean, you guys will see all that stuff as I'm putting this thing back together. But it's apart right now. I'm getting to that. So anyway, moved to my house in September. Ran the truck in the summer, ran really poorly. It was on street tires, junk, terrible time, couldn't 60 foot, didn't hook until third gear, and it ran like a 14 something. It was stupid. It was dumb. I didn't even spray it. It is what it is. I haven't run the truck much. I went to college for 4 years, didn't really get a chance to run it in college because I had to drive it more than I could race it. You know, I had to get to class on time, you know, the whole nine, working, whatever. But drove it a little bit, you know, here and there, fixed some odds and ends stuff on it. I plumbed my fuel system. I have a standalone fuel system just for the nitrous. It's a 1 gallon fuel cell with I think it's a 120 gallon per hour pump to a Holley regulator. I'll show you guys that in a couple minutes. And then I also run a 10 gallon fuel cell with an Aeromotive 340 pump that I run 93 to supply the motor on. And then I put 113 in the nitrous fuel cell, you know, to spray it. Excuse me. Sorry. That was very unpolite of me. But yeah, pretty basic. So I was running it one day. I got the bright idea to, me and my roommate, we put a 430 rear gear set in it. And just because I needed more torque, basically, and I didn't want to hop up the motor. The 373 gear wasn't matched to my cam. It needed like a 410 or higher rear gear. So or it wanted a 410 or higher rear gear. So I put a 430 in it, you know, just thinking a little extra oomph than a 410. Drove it for probably, I don't know, a month. And I was driving to drop some trash off because we don't have a trash service at our house. Dumped the trash off and I noticed that my truck wasn't charging. So, you know, it's a pretty common problem with this thing. I fought charging issues with this thing all last year when I was driving it every day. So I was like, all right, I'm pretty sure I know what's wrong. Get out, and sure enough, the wire on the alternator was wiggly. So I ended up just electrical taping it. I had some electrical tape in the truck. Didn't notice that my air cleaner was loose. This is where it gets interesting. That hydraulic flat tappet engine, that 355 that I had, I would rev it to 7,200 RPM, 7 grand usually, and I was dogging on this thing the whole way home. And I was like, you know what? I haven't washed it in a couple weeks. I'm gonna pull into this car wash and, you know, just give it a little rinse. Pull in the car wash, shut it off, and it backfires. So I'm thinking, okay, you know, it's an old truck. I just got done beating on it a little bit. It's probably okay. Like, it's probably wasn't anything. I get out, wash the truck, get back in it, start it up, and it is running like crap. It is running like complete ass. And it was just running great. Like, literally 2 minutes prior, it was running perfect. And I pull to the side of the car wash, and it shuts off. So I'm like, great. I get out, pop the hood, and I'm looking at it, and there's no air cleaner stud. You know, you see the air filter on top of the carburetor. It's right there, front and center. And there's no wing nut. And then I notice there's no stud sticking out of the lid. Great. What the hell could that be? So, you know, I'm looking at it. I take the air cleaner off, because literally I didn't have to do anything. I just lifted the air cleaner off. There's nothing holding it on. Now I'm looking at it. There's no air cleaner stud. Okay, so there's two things that could have happened. When it backfired, it popped the stud out, or when I was driving down the road, it sucked the stud in. Well, unfortunately, it sucked the stud in. I open the butterflies. I see the retaining nut that holds the lock, or that locks the stud to the carburetor when it's on, sitting in my intake, and I can't see the stud anywhere. Fast forward about 2 months, we got the truck back to my house. I pull the motor, tear it all apart, and here's what I open up to. A little explanation of what you guys just saw. The air cleaner stud somehow made it down my dual plane intake. Now, if you know old school carbureted engines, there's a single plane intake and a dual plane intake. A single plane intake is an open plenum, and it feeds all 8, like air goes to all 8 cylinders at one time. And it just, as the valves open up, it sucks that air fuel mixture in. It's more of a high performance thing. A dual plane intake separates cylinders. So on a dual plane intake, the number 1 cylinder and the number 7 cylinder, and then the number 4 and number 6 cylinder are on one side of the bank, on the dual plane side, and then the other side is 2, 3, 5, and 8. And it separates them like that for throttle response. By separating the runners, it creates more throttle response down low where you would be normally street driving, and that's why dual plane intakes are better on the street. Anyway, they're really curvy. If you've ever seen a dual plane intake, the runners curve. They're literally, it's like a cave. And the air cleaner stud was probably 5 inches long. I mean, it was pretty long. So for it to make it down there in the first place is just, it's weird. Anyway, and so it was low RPM stuff. I mean, maybe 1,500 RPM. And it just beat the shit out of the piston, beat the shit out of the head, put a hole in the cylinder wall, and basically trashed my motor. So, fast forward to now. I finally have a plan in place. I'm working towards building another engine, and I want you guys to see it. That is pretty much the point of my channel. I would like to document this build and my shenanigans that come along with it. This build to me is very important. This truck is extremely sentimental to me. It's my first truck. It's the first vehicle I ever owned. It's what I learned to drive stick in. It's what I drove to my first job in. I drove to high school every single day in this piece of metal. So it's sentimental to me. I've had it for 7 years now. And it's come a long way. It started its life as a stock truck. It's an 89 Chevy 1500, if I haven't said that before. It started its life with me stock. It was a throttle body 350 with an NV 3500 5-speed, 342 rear gear, and an open diff. Since I've owned it, I've put a Muncie 4-speed in it. It's got a 430 rear gear with a limited slip and C-clip eliminators for drag racing. It has a 10-gallon fuel cell, an Aeromotive 340 pump, my nitrous system, which is completely, like, I'll explain that on its own. It's its own deal. It's all my idea and my creation, I guess you could say. It had the 355 in it. I switched it from throttle body injected to carbureted because carburetors are so much easier to work on, and I wanted to learn, basically. And yeah, it's a fun truck. It's honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's really cool when you're driving down the road and you look over at the Camaro next to you, and your truck, I mean, this thing's loud as hell. And he looks over at you like, what the hell is going on with that? So he takes off and you chase him down. I mean, that's like the best feeling in the world. I have this half-ton pickup that I can race Camaros, maybe Corvettes. I don't know. I'll see with the new motor, but definitely not with the old motor. I didn't race a Corvette. But I could race Camaros. I could race Mustangs. I could race diesel trucks. You know, those guys have, you know, they think their truck's the fastest thing on this planet. And a lot of times I would win with this beat-up half-ton. And I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. So anyway, I have a new motor in the works. My plan is to build a 421 small block. It's going to be a Dart SHP block with an Eagle rotating assembly. It'll be a 4-inch 155 bore with a 3 7/8 stroke crank, and that makes it a 421. It's going to require a lot of work, and I plan on taking you guys along on that entire machining process, the entire build process, the entire install, break-in, first run at the track, drag strip videos coming on, you know, buying parts because I am broke, so I'm buying a lot of used parts. But yeah, so you guys are going to come along for the ride with that. And I plan on collabing eventually with another YouTuber who is local to Atlanta, who is also building a C10 pickup, and I've helped him out a little bit, you know, with his engine stuff, and I'm really excited to show you guys all that stuff too. So, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys like the content that I put out. I'm gonna be uploading probably 2 to 3 times a week, just because I work a lot. I work a full-time job, I go to college, and I also work part-time with the Trans Am team. So, when I get the chance to work on my stuff, that's when I'll be filming videos. And yeah, you guys will learn a little bit more about me, a little bit more about my life, a little bit more about what I do, and hopefully you can take away some knowledge from my channel. I mean, I'd like to teach you guys. I think I have a lot of knowledge about engines, transmissions, rear ends, drag racing, that kind of thing, and I'd like to show you guys that. So, welcome. Hope you guys enjoy. I will see you guys next time. Like I said, I'll be uploading when I get a chance to work on this thing, so hopefully it'll be within the next couple days. So, thank you. Please like, subscribe, and just share the hell out of my channel. I mean, I'm trying to teach as many people as possible. And yeah, so I'll leave you guys with this.